Moving on to Article 12, access driveways, non-residential premises. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town approve Article 12 as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded on Article 12. We'll go ahead and open it for debate.
I'd just like to say, Bruce Mackey, 9 Thatcher Street. I'd like to say that the planning board recommended this unanimously, 5-0.
Hi, Savory Moore again, Redevelopment Authority, 12 South Main Street. Article 12 is on access driveways to the property. Basically, our zoning bylaw now says that a driveway has to be 12 feet for one lane and 24 feet for two lanes. This allows for it to be a minimum of 12 feet for one lane and a minimum of 24 feet for two lanes, which gives the developer a little bit more room to widen the road if he needs to for safety within the parking lots, because this facility, distribution facility, will have trucks in it. So it's basically just allowing the current restriction to be a little bit more lenient, to make the driveways a little larger. Simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Okay, seeing no hands and no further motion to the mics, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. It does require a 2/3 vote. Select Board took no action. Planning Board voted 5-0. And we will go ahead and open the vote. Ten seconds. We'll close the vote. All right, Article 12, access driveways, non-residential premises, passes with 2/3 majority of 146 yes and 19 no. Article 13, rezone from
Mr.
highway
Moderator?
commercial HC to Green Business Park District. Do I have a motion?
I'm wondering if it would be possible to make a motion concerning the conduct of the meeting.
A motion concerning the conduct of the meeting, or
Correct.
is it just a point of order?
No, I'd like to make a motion, if it's out of order, forgive me. Ben Dexter, 149 High Street. In any motion not concerning the approval of a warrant article or a motion to reconsider, the moderator shall call for a voice vote and may opt to use electronic voting when a hand count would otherwise be necessary.
And what are you reading from?
I wrote and I was going to hand you. So.
What? Okay.
I don't have counter. Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to spend more time on this than we're going to spend on actual voting. So, like, we've made a decision to kind of move forward with the electronic voting. A lot of people seem to prefer it, and so we're just going to kind of trudge through on that, okay? I think the majority of our time is taken up in debate and not in voting. The voting is not really the problem tonight. Not that anything is really a problem. The debate is not necessarily a problem, but I do want to emphasize that we want to try to focus on new information every time someone comes up. So if you'd like to speed up the meeting, that would be the best way to do it. All right, continue debate.
Say, I move the town approve Article 13 as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
Oh, that's right, okay. So we have motion made and seconded on Article 13, and I'll go ahead and open it for debate.
Hi, Savory Moore, Redevelopment Authority, 12 South Main Street. Article 13 is basically to rezone one parcel that is within the Green Business District outline that was not zoned as Green Business Park when the district was delineated in 2010. The property was not available at that time to be rezoned. So a yes vote tonight means that the single property, it's 7.4 acres of property. About 4 acres of it is wetlands. Another 3+ acres is dry land. This zoning change is reflecting a 2017 master plan recommendation. So a yes vote would just take this single property and rezone it to Green Business Park zoning. A no vote means that it remains the way it is as commercial business, and it would just put the developer through a few more hoops in getting the permissions that are needed. This is not spot zoning. Spot zoning would be if we had taken this piece of property and it was already zoned Green Business Park and tried to make it something else because it was a spot in a larger area. This is now, it's contiguous with the rest of the Green Business Park, so to rezone it is not spot zoning, it's just making it conform with the rest of the properties around it. That's it, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Seeing no hands, no further motion to the, we have a hand in the back. We also have people listening on television and whatnot, so if we can get you a microphone. We can get you a microphone, yeah.
They're a lot closer in the back.
Into the microphone, please.
I'm Lydia Nelson, 14 Edgewood Road, Carver. I just have a concern because I see the mess that they've made, in my humble opinion. But seriously, that bulldozing and stuff and all the trees going down and everything, which is driveways to this property and all of that, I'm just concerned with this kind of an amendment that where are these extra access points going to come in and all of that? Just wondering.
So can you speak to that, Mr. Moore?
Savory Moore, Carver Redevelopment Authority. I don't really see the relevance to that. There's no access driveways to this. This is just a parcel of land that is within the confines almost of the Green Business Park.
Oh, okay. Let him finish, and then we can hear.
This property is way in the back, almost at the corner where Plimpton and Middleborough meet the Carver town lines. It's nowhere near a street or a driveway.
No worries. We'll get you that microphone again. Do you have further questions? Okay. Seeing no hands, no further motions to the mic, we'll go ahead and vote on Article 13. It does require a 2/3 vote. Select Board voted no action. Planning Board voted 4-1. We'll go ahead and open the vote. Ten seconds. And close the vote. So Article 13 passes with a 2/3 majority, 140 yes and 26 no. Moving on to Article 14, amend Section 3580, exemptions from large-scale ground-mounted solar voltaic installations. Do I have a motion?
I move that the town approve Article 14, and this is as amended in Appendix G, as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and second. We'll go ahead and open Article 14 for debate.
Hi, I'm back. And I did this again. I gotta put this away. All right, this article is to change the zoning to allow more than 250 megawatts of power on rooftops only in the Green Business District. Right now, our bylaws for ground-mounted solar says 250 megawatts is the maximum allowed. Because this is a green business district, the Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act, otherwise known as MEPA, has mandated that rooftop solar accommodate 30% of the total rooftop in a building. And since we're going to be at 1.8 million square feet of building, putting 30% of that is going to be more than 250 megawatts of power. So a yes vote on this will just allow our zoning to reflect what the state is going to force us to do anyway. Simple as that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moore. Over here on the right.
Hi, Liz Taylor, 31 Russell Trufant. Again, just a clerical error in Appendix G, second paragraph, 3580.10. What it actually says is 250 kilowatts or greater, not megawatts. So, and that is unfortunately in the appendicized article.
Thank you. We'll have a look here. Do you have something that's relevant to?
I do. I was reading off a chart that is probably incorrect. I was not reading off of the actual article. So kilowatts is most likely correct if that's what the appendix says.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Mr. Moderator, through you. So whether or not the reference to kilowatts is correct, that portion of the bylaw is not being proposed for change as a result of this warrant article. Only the bold language in Appendix G is being voted on. The 250 kilowatts is currently in the bylaw and is not being proposed for any change at this point.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I believe Mr. Belbin was up before you. Mr. Belbin is yielding to you.
Dan Freeney, 84 Fosdick Road. As I read this, it doesn't say rooftop. It says large-scale mounted, ground-mounted.
Okay, we'll have a look at that too. Okay, I believe there's more than one part to this particular bylaw. So while the part that you pointed to says ground mounted, there is a section 3580.15 below that discusses rooftop.
So which is it? Is it rooftop or is it ground mounted?
The part that's being edited is rooftop. Again, we're focusing on the bold.
Just aware there are a number of amendments coming up later tonight that are putting moratoriums on ground mounted solar, so that's why I'm asking this specific question.
Sure. Mr. Belbin.
Robert Belvin, 26 Gate Street. The blue writing in here where it says smaller scale ground or building mounted solar electrical installations, is that a new in the blue that we're adding to our bylaws? Or is this existing and what? You just said that it was just the bold. I just want to make clear that the blue is an addition or not.
Sure.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, I'm sorry, mine's black and white.
Mr. Moderator, for you, Tom Bod, the interim town planner here in Carver. The blue are things that were originally proposed to be stricken. So the blue is in the bylaw right now. Was originally proposed to be stricken in the original version and was put back during the hearing. So all that stuff is what's going to be in the bylaw. The blue just references something that was proposed to be stricken, but was not stricken, and it's currently in the bylaw and will remain in the bylaw.
Yeah, that is correct. So I don't know who else has the blue, but so the language that states smaller scale ground or building mounted solar electric installations, et cetera, is currently in the bylaw and is, I guess because it's blue, not being proposed for change. So the only change then is the 3580.15 exemptions.
Okay. Seeing no hands, no further motion to the mics. Go ahead and put this to a vote. So this, hold on one sec. This does require a 2/3 vote. The select board took no action, and the planning board voted 5-0. And we will go ahead and open the vote.
Point of order. My card says the planning board voted 4-1 as amended.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think the planning board sent me an updated document that said 5-0. So planning board, would you like to clarify?
It's 5-0.
5-0. Okay, we can go ahead and clear the vote and start all over here.
Sorry.
All right, yep, we're opening the vote.
Great. Starting to get late.
Just make sure that you vote again because we did clear the vote, so. 10 more seconds. All right, close the vote. And so Article 14 passes with a 2/3 majority, 128 yes and 33 no. Moving on to Article 15, amend sections 3166 and 3347, site plan review performance and parking lot lighting standards. Do I have a motion?
I move that the town approve Article 15 as amended in was amended in Appendix G as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded. We'll go ahead and open Article 15 for debate. Mr. Moore?
Thank you. Savory Moore, Carver Redevelopment Authority. I left my lanyard over there. Article 15 is a change in the height allowable for parking lot light standards within the business zone. It's an increase of height from 20 feet to 40 feet. It reduces the number of lights needed and it increases parking safety because of the trucks that are going to be going through there. Simple as that. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no motion to mics and no hands, we'll go ahead and put Article 15 to a vote. Article 15 requires a 2/3 vote. No action was taken by the Select Board. Planning Board voted 3-2. We'll go ahead and open the vote now. 10 seconds.
I get through.
We'll close the vote. Article 15 passes with a two-thirds majority with 134 yes and 23 no. Moving on to Article 16, amend Section 3521, permitted signs for Green Business Park District. Do I have a motion?
I move that the town approve Article 16 as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded for Article 16. We'll go ahead and open it for debate. Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Savory Moore, Carver Redevelopment Authority. Right now, our zoning laws have highway, commercial, and industrial signs, highway, commercial, and industrial zoning areas listed in our sign bylaws. They do not include Green Business Park as of today. This is just adding Green Business Park to the bylaws regulating signs in Carver. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no hands and no motion to the mic, we'll go ahead and put Article 16 to a vote. Requires a two-thirds vote. Select Board took no action. Planning Board voted 5-0. We'll go ahead and open the vote. Ten seconds. Close the vote. Article 16 passes with two-thirds majority, 139 yes to 17 no. Moving on to Article 17, amend Section 2230, use regulation schedule industrial allow privately owned wastewater treatment facilities as an accessory use. Do we have a motion?
I move that the town approve Article 17 as amended in Appendix G as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on Article 17. We'll go ahead and open it for debate. Mr. Moore?
Thank you. This article is meant to allow a wastewater treatment facility as an accessory use in the Green Business Park. Right now, it's allowable as a primary use, but it's not listed as an accessory use. At a facility this size, they're going to need to have a wastewater treatment facility. So this just allows them to have one as an accessory use to their primary building. That's it. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Shea.
Cornelius Shea, 148 Plymouth Street. Just so you know, it is an allowed use, and actually, Section 5 says, does not include package treatment plants as accessory uses to subdivision, commercial, or industrial development. It's already in the bylaws.
Yep. I mean, you're saying that the amendment's not necessary, so that that voting on this really has no action, but voting on it actually won't hurt either. So we'll just go ahead with it. Seeing no motion on the mic and no hands, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. This requires a two-thirds vote. Select Board took no action, and Planning Board voted 4-1. Let's go ahead and open the vote. Ten seconds. Close the vote. And Article 17 passes with a two-thirds majority, 134 yes to 24 no. Article 18.
Mr. Moderator, may I make a motion, please, to reconsider Articles 11 through 17?
Second.
You can't do multiple articles.
I'm not going to recognize a motion to reconsider multiple articles, so you can reconsider one article, and you're welcome to reconsider them individually.
Sorry. Don't worry.
All right, I will then. I'll make a motion that we reconsider Article 11.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to reconsider Article 11. It is debatable. We'll open it for debate. Seeing no motion to the mics and no hands. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. No, it is debatable. Bylaw. Sir.
I mean, look, what are we going to reconsider every article that comes before us and that we vote for because we don't want it to come up again? I think it's getting a little ridiculous, in my opinion. We should just vote. We voted. Let's move on. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your opinion. All right. Seeing no hands and no motion to the mics, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion to reconsider Article 11. It does require a 2/3 vote, so we'll go ahead and open the vote. Ten seconds. Close the vote. So on the motion to reconsider Article 11, it fails with 29 yes and 127 no. And unless I hear otherwise, I'm gonna reduce the time to 20 seconds for any further motions to reconsider, just so we can kind of get through these real quick.
No, as long as that's the way it's going to be. Otherwise, I was going to make a motion to go right to 18 and then get back to this.
Yep.
Any seconds? No? Okay, then there you go.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. Well, yeah,
You're doing that?
you basically you would need to make a motion on Article 18. That's all we need to do to continue business.
I thought I did, but I didn't. Make a motion to address Article 18.
Mr. Moore was up first, though, so I'm sorry. I have to recognize him first.
Okay, I'm wasting time. I'm sorry.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion that we reconsider Article 12.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to reconsider Article 12.
There's no.
Okay, we'll open the vote.
Just to clarify.
We're voting, I'm sorry. Okay, 5 seconds. Close the vote. Okay, the motion to reconsider Article 12 fails with 13 yes and 133 no.
Just to make sure people know what the yes and no votes mean, please.
Yeah, we have explained that for the reconsideration, so yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So just to clarify, on any vote to reconsider, a yes vote means we will reconsider it, we will bring it back up for debate and vote on it again, and no vote would not reconsider that article and continue on to the next motion.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion that we reconsider Article 13.
Second.
15, you mean?
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to reconsider Article 13, was it? Yeah. Seeing no motion of the mics and no hands raised, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. Five seconds. Close the vote. Okay, the motion to reconsider Article 13 fails with 20 yes and 134 no.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion that we reconsider Article 14.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to reconsider Article 14. Seeing no hands, no motion to the mics, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't open it for debate. Open it for debate. Now no hands, no mics. Now we'll go to a vote. Sorry. Ten seconds. Close the vote. The motion on reconsidering Article 14 fails with 24 yes and 130 no. Who was here first?
Mr.
Okay.
Moderator, I move that we accept Article 18 as written in the warrant.
Okay. We have a motion to approve Article 18, 9.1.8 earth removal condition exemptions as written in the warrant. Do I have a second? Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. We'll go ahead and open Article 18 for debate.
Mr. Moderator, I would like to make a motion to postpone indefinitely Article 18.
Okay. We have a motion made and seconded to postpone Article 18 indefinitely. Let's hold on one sec here. So this is debatable, it requires a majority vote, so we'll go ahead and open it for debate. Seeing no hands, no motion to the mic, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. Again, it requires a majority vote. We're working on getting that up on the screen. Bear with us. A majority. And we'll go ahead and open the vote.
Mr. Moderator, what are we voting on?
Okay. Yes vote would postpone Article 18 indefinitely. A no vote would not, and we would go back to debating it. Do we want to reset that? I'm sorry. Okay. And the vote is open. Ten seconds. Close the vote. Okay, the motion carries with a vote of 103 yes and 40 no. So we will postpone 18 indefinitely.
Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator.
Yeah.
May I make a motion to take Article 30 out of order so we can let our lawyer go home?
Can you state the grounds clearly? Sorry.
the grounds are we're paying for a lawyer to be here. We paid for the first meeting. I don't want them to have to take the whole meeting to get to it. At least we can get them out of here and save us probably another $300, $400.
We have a motion made and seconded to take Article 30 out of order, basically advance an article. So this is debatable. We'll go ahead and open for debate. Are we waiting to speak and debate on this motion? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Alan Dunham, 11 Ricard Street. With all due respect, this article was put on the warrant by the Select Board. The Select Board made the warrant with the numbers involved, and, you know, it's not the town that's paying for a lawyer, it's the district that's paying for the lawyer, and there are still other articles we need to get to that people have been waiting a long time for, so I would urge the body, through you, Mr. Moderator, to not approve moving Article 30.
Just for the clarification of town meeting, what is the district that's paying for the lawyer?
The Carver, Marion, Wareham Regional Refuge Disposal District.
In the middle?
Brenda Bacall, 34 Kennedy Drive, Carver. I don't see where this is a hardship really for the town to move this, and I thought to move an article it would have to be a hardship, so I don't think we want to move this particular article, and there's so much more business that we, you know, need to get through.
Sure, thank you. Okay, seeing no hands raised, no further motion to the mic, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote.
Mr. Moderator, there's another person.
I'm sorry, is there a point of order, or?
I was getting up to come and make a,
What's that?
I came up to address the question. I mean, I wanted to make a statement.
Okay.
This bothered me.
We have your name and address, please.
Sorry. Patricia Domu, 6 Mayflower Road. This bothered me 2 nights ago when it was brought up. Been on my mind. I understand we don't like to move things out of order, but if this is going to save us or any town money, it makes good sense to do it.
Right.
Wouldn't do that to your own house, would you? Put it off, we can spend more money. That's just how I look at it. Financial wisdom. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Mr. Moderator, can I just?
Yep.
This money it's all of our money. It's Carver's money and it's Wareham's money. It's the district, we manage it. But it is your money, ultimately. And that's what I'll be discussing about this.
Okay. All right, seeing no further motion on the mic and no hands raised, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. It does require a 2/3 vote. A yes vote would advance Article 30 to be the next item of business. A no vote would not advance Article 30 to be the next item of business, and we would carry on in the order in the warrant. We'll go ahead and open the vote. Ten seconds. And we'll close the vote. Okay, the motion does not pass by 2/3 majority of 60 yes and 94 no. So we will not be taking Article 30 out of order. We're going to
Moderator,
continue.
point of order.
Yeah.
Mr. Moderator, because it did not pass, I'm asking the Board of Selectmen to take a vote to pull this from the warrant.
Can't.
Board of Selectmen can't take a vote at town meeting. It's not a select board meeting. It's a town meeting.
Can I remove this from town meeting vote now?
So
Okay. Take a motion to withdraw.
And indefinitely post.
right, it has to come up for debate. So it has to be on the floor, and then you can make a motion to indefinitely postpone.
Make a motion to postpone.
No, like the article has to come up, and it has to be open. So we have to make a motion and second it.
Mr. Moderator, I can't see paying the lawyer, so you guys just go, we'll put it off to another year. All right, I'm sorry.
Okay, moving on to Article 19, zoning bylaw, section 3500 signs. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I move the town approve Article 19 as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded on Article 19. We'll go ahead and open it for debate.
Bruce Mackey, 9 Thatcher Street, Chairman of the Planning Board. We discussed this with the building inspector. We now have a full-time building inspector, whereas we just used to have a part-time building inspector. So talking to the building inspector, he said that he'd be happy to do the signs. It's much quicker, much easier. Things don't have to come before the planning board, and and it's done that way in other towns. So he came and explained that to the planning board, and the planning board recommended a favorable action of vote of 4-1.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mackey. Seeing no hands and no further motion to the mics, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. It requires a 2/3 vote. The select board took no action. The planning board voted 4-1. Go ahead and open the vote. Ten seconds. Close the vote. Okay, Article 19 passes with 2/3 majority, 129 yes and 18 no. Moving on to Article 20, zoning bylaw, section 2700, transfer of development rights by law amendment. Do I have a motion?
I move that the town approve Article 20 as amended in Appendix G as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded on Article 20. We'll go ahead and open it for debate.
I'd just like to say that this came about last year when we had a builder developer, and he was thinking of using the TDR bylaw. And as we looked into, nobody had used that before. And so we really didn't have a clear map of the sending units and sending areas and receiving areas. So we did work with Serped, and we came up with a map, and we came up and redid the bylaw. I don't know if Mr. Shea would like to talk about this. We went through this on the bylaw review committee, and Mr. Shea is the chairman of the bylaw review committee.
Mr. Shea.
I'll keep it brief. Transfer of development rights bylaw is already on the books. Unfortunately, it heavily favored predatory development. What we did with a wide range of people on our board, from finance committee to select board to planning board, Cranberry Groves, we had a large selection of people. We tried to develop it down to protect the town's interest and to save areas identified by the master plan for open space and aquifer and scenic views and various other aspects that the town had identified were important, and transfer that development to other areas with appropriate infrastructure that could handle this. So it's really an overlay district. The law on the books, and it's what brought it to the attention of the planning board, and they asked for this review. But basically, if you prohibited development on one piece of land for one building lot, or 6 building lots, let's say you had a few acres, and you transferred that land, it was a multiplier of 6. So you take those 6 houses that could be built here, but if you're going to put them in the development area, all of a sudden it's 36 houses. And if you decided to make them 55 and older or affordable houses, it was multiplied by 3. So right now, then you're well over 100 increased development area, and we felt that didn't favor the town so much. So we did a little restructuring. There's a commercial aspect because of all the areas in the overlay district are within the town of Carver public water supplies and concentrated to areas where our services are, the fire department, the police department, best able to handle it. But that's pretty much the gist of it. Thank you very much. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. Mr. Belvin.
Robert Belvin, 26 Gate Street. On the map that we have in Appendix F, in the center, there's a green spot there, and I had to go through my map on my phone to look at it. That appears to be the Carver Sportsman Club property.
It actually is the committee felt that was a area best served by as a sending unit, so it gives you the ability to sell your building rights on that property and transfer them out to other areas which are identified as receiving areas.
As a member of the Sportsman Club, I know we have a deed restriction on our property that it cannot be built. If we no longer serve as a Sportsman Club, the land will be transferred to Division Fish and Wildlife, if I remember correctly from our thing. So it can't be included in any building plan at all because it can't be built upon because of the deed restriction.
Exactly. Well, I wish we had somebody from the Sportsman's Club to explain that to us at the time. We can't tell that from what the town recommends in the master plan as areas to be saved. It's not for development, by the way. It's for the removal of development. So it's a moot point at this point.
I make a motion that we exclude the Carver Sportsman Club property on this map.
Okay, so that would be an amendment to the motion.
Amendment.
Can you write that down first, Mr. Billman?
Just to clarify, Bob, this is optional. This is not any sort of requirement. It's not like a building zone.
I'm sorry, Mr. Shea, I didn't hear you.
It doesn't put an onus to buy or sell or anything. It just gives the property owners the ability to add value to their property. So if this is a moot point, then it's a moot point, and I'm fine with it. I don't have any issues with it.
Sure. Okay, thank you. All right, so we have a motion to amend Article 20 to remove the Carver Sportsman Club from the, what's the name of the map? TDR overlay map in the appendix. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. We'll go ahead and open it for debate.
Mr. Moderator, I have a question.
Sure.
Since the Carver Sportsman's Club is not mentioned in the original motion, in the original article,
It's in the map. That's where it's referenced.
but it's not in the map. There's a green blot in the map that doesn't define lot, doesn't define address, doesn't define a little tiny map. And it looks like it might be the Carver Sportsman's Club, but it doesn't say that on the map. I think it needs to have at least lot number and so forth, and as Connie Shea said, it's a moot point. So now we're getting into specifics. Well, maybe I don't want Alan Germain's house on here either, but that's not on the map either.
Okay, let's see if...
Mr.
gentleman
Moderator,
can-
through you, Tom Bott, I'm the interim town planner here in Carver. Mr. Belvin asked me about this earlier. I did a little research, found on the assessor's map that is in fact the parcel. It's map 75, lot 1. So if someone wanted to make the motion to remove map 75, lot 1 from the TDR map, that would be as surgically as you could done rather than just say X that green block off the map.
What was that again? I'll write it down again.
75.1.
75, lot 1.
Thank you.
Doing business as Carver Sportsman's Club.
Perfect.
Yeah, so... So do you want to change your motion, Bob?
My motion is I move to remove the Carver Sportsman Club property from the TDR overlay map, map 75, lot 1.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Again, we'll open it for debate. Okay, seeing no motion to the mics and no hands raised, we'll go ahead and put that to a vote. It requires a majority vote. It's a majority, yep. It's a majority. It's amendment, so it's a majority, yep. We have a point of order. Do we have debate on this article, or?
Well, it's a point of how many parcels Carver Sportsman's Club owns. They own 3.
He's only asking us to remove one. So.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Do you want all of them to be removed?
It looks like the other 2 in the back aren't included.
So you don't want them touched at all?
Right.
You don't care? Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're ready now. So on the motion to amend Article 20, zoning bylaw, section 2700, to exclude the Carver Sportsman Club from the map parcel 75, lot 1. A vote yes would remove the Carver Sportsman Club from the map. A no vote would leave it intact. We'll go ahead and open the vote. 10 seconds. We'll close the vote. Okay, the amendment passes by majority, 96 yes and 53 no. So back to Article 20.
Thank you.
Chairman, I'm sorry to do this because I'm very much in favor of this article, but it requires a quorum of 150 people.
Yep.
It was 149.
So there was 149 people that voted.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll
that-
allow.
Okay, we did take a count a little while ago. It was 163, about
I just want to make sure.
less than a minute ago.
I'm just checking. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, any further debate on Article 20? Okay, seeing no hands and no motions to the mics, we'll go ahead and put Article 20 to a vote. Article 20 requires a 2/3 vote. No action was taken by the Select Board, and the Planning Board voted 5-0. We'll go ahead and open the vote. Ten seconds. Oh, what happened? Okay. Okay, we'll close the vote. Okay, Article 20 passes with 2/3 majority, 121 yes and 29 no. Moving on to Article 21, Home Rule Petition to exempt Police Department from civil service. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town approve Article 21 as set forth in the warrant.
Motion's been made and seconded. We'll go ahead and open it for debate. We have a presentation from Chief Dufilli.
Good evening, thank you. Just to let you know, I have a long version and a short version, but I'm going to go with the short version.
Thank you, sir.
Before I start, the informational summary says that civil service has a test every 2 years. When we started this, they did. They've changed. They do it every 1 year now. So just so everybody has that information ahead of time. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak to you tonight on this important article. Moving the police department from civil service is the next important step in our strategic plan. In 2018, we commissioned MRI, an independent firm, to evaluate the police department and prepare a plan for improvement moving forward. We've achieved many of the goals set forth in that plan, and this is the next step. We have worked hand in hand with the police union to develop the necessary changes to move this step forward. Both management side and the union side agree that this change is in the best interest of all parties. In the past, civil service provided service to the town in establishing and maintaining employment and promotional lists which govern who is hired and who is promoted. Civil service also provided the individual officer with an avenue of appeal if the officer was disciplined or bypassed for promotion. Today, with the new police reform law, that avenue of appeal for discipline has been removed. Working with our police union, we have created contractual language which will improve the hiring and promotional process and provide equal or better protections from undue political pressure or interference for our officers. We will establish a hiring process similar to many of the non-civil service towns that is fair to applicants, can allow for the town to account for preferences such as residency, veteran status, etc., and will likely be more affordable to applicants than the current civil service test. We have established a promotional process that is fair and more accurately evaluates an officer's potential as a supervisor, and we have language that provides the same just cause standard for discipline that civil service uses. I would ask you to vote yes on this article, which has been vetted by both the union side and the management side. And I'm available to anybody who has any questions tonight. I want to keep this as short as possible. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Chief. Yes, sir, in the middle.
Ben Dexter, 149 High Street, here in Carver. Just for full disclosure, I'm a civil service tenured police sergeant in a neighboring municipality. I've been there for nearly 17 years. So for me as a law enforcement professional, this is the most important article on the warrant tonight. I want to I hope everybody realizes this is a big deal. At least it is to me. I have the utmost respect for Chief Dufely and the men and women who serve on the Carver Police Department, but unfortunately for me, civil service is important. It's not about what the town leadership or the police department leadership is right now. It's about what it might be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. To that end, the Carver Police Department has been in civil service since 1968 by my research. I would also add that at the time the town of Carver instituted civil service, it was done so by ballot vote. Now, state law is very clear that there's a preference for local option statutes to be revoked in the way that they were instituted. Right now, I mean, there was concern that we might not have a quorum of 150 people, but yet back in 1968, we sent this to a ballot vote where it was approved yeses 411 and no 217. Taking a look at the town report, the last town election we had 1,037 people there. This to me should go to a ballot vote. I don't think this is the proper forum for this particular measure. In addition, talking a little bit about civil service, one of the things that concerns me, we talk about the applicant pool and stuff like that for the town to be able to, and the police department to be able to get qualified applicants for civil service. Yes, there have been a number of police departments that have been removed from civil service. I understand that. But let's talk about the ones that are still in civil service. Halifax, Duxbury, Pembroke, Bridgewater, West Bridgewater, East Bridgewater, Rainham, Taunton, Fairhaven, New Bedford, Plymouth, Kingston, Middleborough, Wareham, and Bourne, just to name a few. There are members in the police department right now here in Carver who lateraled from other police departments as civil service laterals. If Carver becomes no longer a civil service municipality, there are officers who are going to lose that option. And because police officers have a limit, a defined mileage limit of where they can live, we're limiting the amount of police officers who would move. Police officers aren't going to give up their houses, and giving up civil service status when you already have it is generally something not a lot of police officers want to do. I think the way Carver can increase its ability to hire more qualified officers through laterals is to make sure that we're treating our cops right. We're paying them well. We're giving them all the benefits they deserve. I want a more concrete plan. Maybe the chief can speak to that. I want to know exactly what we're going to do before we throw out something we've been using for 54 years and kind of replace it with an unknown. That's not to say that just because we've been doing something for a long time, we should continue to do it. I hate that argument. But at the same time, it should really give us a lot of pause that we're wiping something out that has been in practice for over half a century. I would urge everybody to think really carefully, think really hard about whether this is something you want. Because again, I have absolute trust that Chief Dufely and the Carver Police Department at this moment will continue to show the high level of professionalism that they have always showed. My concern is down the line when these folks aren't running the police department anymore and some of the people there are no longer present. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think this gentleman might have been first. Yeah. Okay.
Edward O'Connor, 16 Woodhaven Street. Chief, you mentioned union backing. The union representing the Carver Police does back you leaving the civil service.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dufely? Yeah.
No. He talked first. Putting my selectman hat here on. When we discussed this, I knew the value of this proposal coming out, and I knew the value to the officers in our department, the value of this. Getting rid of civil service is a big deal, but our officers want this. They are professionals. A lot of changes over the years have come, and I have to say thank you to the chief and all of the administrative staff that we have for our department. I think they've changed this department, and this agreement that we came up with, and when we turned around and came and discussed this, I said, this is great for a management tool, and it's a management tool. It It allows the chief and the administrative staff to do what they do best and not be constrained. So I just say thank you very much for all your service, and I support this.
Thank you, Mr. Belbin. Chief Dufilly, or, okay.
Alan Dunham, 11 Ricard Street. I just wanted to let people know this was not a spur-of-the-moment type decision between management and the union of the police department. We actually started working on that back when I was on the select board. There's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of thought, and for the union to go ahead and support this, then you know it's a good deal because, you know, they worked in cooperation. Previous speaker, I do want to thank you for your service as an officer. Thank you very much. But I urge that we go ahead and vote this article because it was a teamwork between the union and the management and the select board. And I just think it's best all the way around, and we should support their decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunham. Chief, you have another comment?
Again, Chief, I just wanted to, this is something you worked on with your fellow, the union. I understand you're not union, but obviously you took them into consideration and they agreed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you again for a few more minutes, and I very much respect for Officer Sergeant Dexter. I've been doing this for 27 years. I did start out in New Bedford. I did lateral transfer here back in 2002. Since that time, we've undergone many changes, including the fact that we are now in an era when fighting to get people to come into this profession. I think we can all agree on that. And that has changed the ability for people to lateral transfer. I've been your chief for the past almost 9 years. I have been exposed to many other chiefs that are trying that, and right now, with it being hard to hire police officers, no one's allowing lateral transfers unless they don't want that officer working for them anymore. But lateral transfers are very hard to come by. They're a tool that sometimes we've had to use. Over the past 9 years, we've hired 9 people. 6 of those have been brand new off your civil service list. 3 have been lateral transfers. There are times when you need to do that because the time period to train a new officer can be from 9 months to a year to get that all accomplished. And so when you're down on bodies, you need to be able to have an option to bring them in quicker. And I think as we come out of civil service, the ability to do that changes because we don't have to go through the civil service process where a lateral transfer has to have both sides agree. So if Sergeant Dexter wanted to lateral over to Carver right now, Plymouth and Carver would both have to agree to that transfer. If they didn't, it could not happen. That's the current state of things. If we come out of civil service, Sergeant Dexter wanted to come over to Carver, he could quit Plymouth and we could hire him the next day. So that's where the change we are right now. In the next few years, we're going to find the challenge of hiring police officers to be considerably harder than it has been over my career. If we don't make some positive changes, which we have done, we will be unsuccessful in bringing good quality police officers to you. Sergeant Dexter mentioned that we have to protect our officers. I've been doing this for 27 years. I stood up here 13 years ago as a union president and spoke against coming out of civil service. But a lot of things have changed over this period of time, and I can tell you that I believe it is in the best interest of this town to vote to come out to give us those options because we will not be able to get lateral transfers. Currently, there are 135 departments remaining in civil service out of the 351 towns. According to the Mass Chiefs survey, which I belong to the Mass Police Chiefs Association, 60 of those departments are in some form coming out also. So I believe we're going to find this to be a dying system, not one that's flourishing. And I think that we'll find it better for our police officers. The protections that we've given them within a contract, instead of going to civil service to have them evaluated, they can be evaluated by an arbitrator or a court. So they have actually stronger protections, I believe, within the contract. And then when I stood up here 13 years ago, one of my biggest concerns was political influence. I can tell you, I've seen it. I've read a lot of civil service cases about that, about nepotism and about political influence disturbing people. But I've been your chief for almost 9 years, and I can speak to this select board and all the select boards that I've worked with. Not once have I had someone come to me and say, hire my friend, promote my friend, or anything like that. So I believe we're in a good place, and I completely agree with Sergeant Dexter that at some point, that could change. But that's up to the residents of this town to vote good people in as your select board, because that's your appointing authority. The chief of police is not. The chief of police recommends to them who to hire, and then they hire them. So I believe that, I believe we've covered all the concerns or all the questions, and I think that I would also still encourage you to vote yes.
Thank you, Chief.
Can I, Chief, might I ask you one more question through you, Mr. Moderator?
Sure.
Chief, you mentioned that a lot of the things that civil service currently has, we're reincorporating outside of civil service, but practically they would remain the same. Do I understand that correctly? I'm mainly referring to veteran status, which to me is very important to me. So how would Carver, the Carver Police Department, replicate the veterans preference, which is actually an absolute preference currently within civil service, if it comes out of civil service?
A great question, and I share your concern. My son is a United States Marine who's getting out May 6th, so I do share your concern. We have incorporated into the contract for the hiring, for the promotional process, a point system, and we would be incorporating a similar system into our hiring. The hiring process can't go in the contract because new hire is not an employee. So, but we would be considering that and making sure that happens. Currently, we have a list with 12 people on it, with no veterans right now. But we would definitely consider that moving forward because it is an important factor to consider. So I share your concern.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, in the middle. Oh, sorry. Victim of circumstance, sorry. Okay, seeing no further motion to the mic and no hands raised on Article 21, Home Rule Petition to exempt Police Department from civil service, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. It requires a majority vote. The recommendation from the Select Board was 5-0. We'll go ahead and open the vote now. Ten seconds. And close the vote. And on Article 21, it passes by a majority vote of 115 yes and 33 no. So moving on to Article 22. You can clap, that's fine. Article 22, acceptance of Massachusetts general law for unclaimed property. Do I have a motion?
I move that the town approve Article 22 as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded to approve Article 22. We'll go ahead and open it for debate. Okay, seeing no hands raised and no motion to the mic, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. It does require a majority vote. The Select Board voted 5-0 on this item. We'll go ahead and open the vote now. Ten seconds. Close the vote. Okay, Article 22 passes by majority vote of 125 yes and 11 no. Article 23, senior surviving spouse or minor exemptions. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to increase the tax exemption for eligible seniors, surviving spouses, and minors of a deceased parent as set forth in Article 23 of the warrant.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded on Article 23. We'll go ahead and open it for debate. Yes, in the middle.
Ellen Blanchard, 238 Main Street, Chairman of the Board of Assessors. I'd like to make just a comment that these three articles are to benefit our seniors. They're long overdue. They have not been changed since 2006. And I am hoping that everybody will approve all three of these.
Okay, thank you. Again, we'll have to try to keep the commentary to the article at hand, but thank you. Okay, you have another comment?
For the next two.
Okay, all right. All right, seeing no motion of the mics and no further hands raised on Article 23, senior surviving spouse or minor exemptions, requires a majority vote. Recommendation by the Select Board was 5-0, Board of Assessors 3-0. We'll go ahead and open the vote now. 10 seconds. And close the vote. Okay, and Article 23 passes with a majority vote of 145 yes and 1 no. That's the best one yet. Article 24, Senior Veteran Tax Work-Off Program. Do I have a motion?
I move that the town vote to increase the maximum property tax exemptions for qualifying participants in the Senior Veteran Tax Work-Off Program as set forth in Article 24 of the warrant.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded on Article 24. We'll go ahead and open it for debate. Seeing no hands raised, no motion of the mics, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. Article 24 requires a majority vote. The Select Board voted 5-0 and Board of Assessors 3-0. We'll go ahead and open the vote. Ten seconds. And close the vote. Okay, Article 24 passes by a majority vote of 142 yes and 2 no. Moving on to Article 25, Senior Tax Exemptions. Do I have a motion?
I move that the town vote to increase the property tax exemption granted to eligible seniors pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 41C, oops, I lost my place, as set forth in Article 25 of the warrant. And can we get 100% on that?
Second.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. We'll go ahead and open it for debate. Seeing no hands raised, no motion to the mics, we will go ahead and put this up to a vote. Requires a majority vote. Select Board voted 5-0 and Board of Assessors 3-0. We'll go ahead and open the vote now. Ten seconds. We'll close the vote. On Article 25, it passes by a majority vote of 143 yes and 3 no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Article 26, Moratorium on Mounted Solar Photovoltaic Installations.
I move that the town approve Article 26 as amended in Appendix G as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, and I have, I think, a presentation by Jen Bogart on this one.
Not so much a presentation, just some notes. So Article 26 just places a pause on approving new special permits for solar projects that are subject to Section 3580 of the Carver zoning bylaws. It does not apply to projects that have already been permitted or to rooftop solar. It also does not eliminate the current solar bylaw. What it does is acknowledge that there have been issues with solar projects in town, that there's problematic language in the bylaw, and that the processes of approving and regulating projects needs to be thoroughly re-examined. Local media once described the number of solar arrays being permitted in Carver as a parade of projects, so it's imperative that we take the time now to address the matters before approving anything new. One thing that we need to do is remove all subjective language and ambiguity from the current bylaw and permitting process. This was an issue after a project was built taller than expected. The word approximately was used on the plans, so the question became, how many inches were too many to be considered approximately a certain height? We also need to ensure consistency in the application of the bylaw. Currently, some setbacks and screening can be reduced if waived in writing by all direct abutters. And when that was added to the bylaw, the intent was to allow the reductions if every abutter to the entire project signed off. Since then, it has been used differently, although the wording hasn't been changed. It has been applied to reduce the setback to an individual parcel if that abutter signed off and didn't require everyone to. So again, the wording hasn't changed, but the application is, and that could prove really problematic on a project-by-project basis if yours is affected a certain way. So we really need to reconcile that and decide, is the original intent what's up? Do we need to change it, but it's a problem? We also have to take a more proactive approach to addressing problems. How do we handle projects that are constructed differently than they're approved? And what can we do to prevent that from happening? For example, an applicant assured the planning board that there was going to be one pole installed with a project. And when a resident noticed that more than one pole was installed, they raised the issue to town employees, who then said, even though the planning board was assured one pole by both the applicant and a former planning director, the plan that the planning board actually signed showed 4 poles, so that's the way it had to be built. There are 3 poles there now, and there are none to be added, so it's still not built to plan. So we need to create some sort of protocol so that everything can be checked directly before the planning board signs off on anything to make sure that it's accurate. We can't assume anything anymore because we've kind of been burnt. A similar issue is probably more widely known. 2 arrays that installed wooden support poles instead of the metal ones approved. After being subject to many Conservation Commission and Planning Board hearings, an acceptable solution was reached and a deadline to remove the poles was given, but they're still in the ground today. So a chain of command for addressing concerns should be established so these problems can be resolved as expeditiously as possible, and so that residents know where to turn as soon as they notice something, instead of asking, who do I talk to? Who should I reach out to? Who should be following up on this? Additionally, we have a responsibility to make sure that we're maximizing the town's benefit. A former building commissioner in Carver said that he was shocked at how low our solar permitting fees are. So we need to do some research to determine appropriate ones. We need to do the same for our pilot agreements. We need to get what's fair, not just what seems okay with us. And we need to do that because Carver's on the forefront of statewide solar development. Lastly, we need to reassess if the goals of the solar bylaw are being met. One of the main intentions when this went in was to help our local cranberry growers supplement their income during the difficult years so they could continue their livelihood. But we need to find out if that's happening. Is solar being developed commensurate with our objectives? So this moratorium would just provide invaluable time to A, review the Carver solar bylaws, policies, and procedures, B, reconsider the town's bylaw, and, goals, my bad, my daughters are here, and C, to address the potential impacts that the large-scale ground-mounted solar arrays may have on health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. It would be a collaborative effort. It would involve town employees, town officials, residents, outside experts, and additional resources. So it does not affect anything that's already permitted. It only applies to things that are subject to Section 3580. It does not remove the current bylaw. It's just a pause that both the Select Board and the Planning Board have voted favorably upon.
Thank you. Mr. Mackey.
Yes, Bruce Mackey, 9 Thatcher Street, Chairman of the Planning Board. I agree with Ms. Bogart on pretty much all those items that she talked about. And so the Planning Board voted 5-0 for the moratorium. And there was a few reasons why we voted that way. One is that it kind of goes in hand with the battery storage that we have. And some of the new solar fields, there is like a container of battery storage. So that kind of shuts down the solar anyway for a year. The second is as Ms. Bogart explained, the bylaw does need clarification. It's a great bylaw, and but there are things that need to be changed. tried to do some of those changes at the last town meeting. It didn't go so well, but we had a lot. There are quite a few things that need to be clarified. So that's important. And then one of the big things that always comes up with the solar is the tree cutting. And I talked with our interim town planner, Tom Bott, and he's done solar projects, and they've written in language where there's only a certain number of percentage of trees that can be cleared for the solar project. So that's something that has to be looked at too. What I would recommend is that this bylaw should be reviewed. We do have a bylaw review committee, under the planning board. It's good to include the planner. I don't know who our planner will be for the next year, but we need, and it should go along with the building inspector. And part of the problem was we only had a part-time building inspector. Now we have a full-time building inspector. So a lot of these things that have slipped through with the full-time building inspector probably wouldn't have come about. And also, I know there was a lot of talk about the fire department last night. The fire department has always cooperated with the planning board, and we've always worked hand in hand with the fire department on battery storage and solar projects. And nothing in town would get approved through the planning board if the fire department hadn't thoroughly looked at it and approved it. So, and if that didn't happen, the planning board would never approve a project if the fire department didn't think that they could handle it. And the fire department, and we work generally with Jesse Boyle, and he's very professional, very knowledgeable, and we also usually in a lot of these solar fields we set aside money, or money is provided for training of the fire.
We're at 3 minutes.
Yep. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jermaine.
Ellen Germain, 24 Pine. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I agree with this. Shocks even me. But I agree for a different reason. I have a real problem, and Jen's right. The original solar plans were to help the growers, and I had no problem with that. I wasn't a big proponent of solar, but it helped the growers. Now we have solar companies buying the property. So suddenly it goes from, this is only my opinion, an agricultural development to a solar development whose second use is maybe we're going to grow something. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with dual use. I have a huge problem with companies. Now, I'll cite a recent case where one company came in, did all the permitting processes, and then sold the paper before the project got built, and then built something different. And that turned into a total fiasco for the cranberry grower. I think these need to be looked at. I think these need to be locked down. When permits are passed on and they go to sell the property, I think there needs to be a requirement that the town is notified that it's been done, who the new person that owns the place is. They should come before the town and make sure that they know this was the rules when the permit was approved. And I don't think that we're going to go into the solar business and have, I don't think our intent was ever to have the solar companies own the land. And I think it's a good thing to have happen. I think we need to have more than just the planning board and the building commissioner involved in this. I think we need to have perhaps some council involved in this, maybe a subcommittee that involves a couple people from the FinCom that can deal with the financial aspects of it. This is a huge deal coming down the road. It can generate a lot of money for the town, but it can cause a tremendous amount of problems going forward also.
Thank you, sir. In the middle.
Rick Phillips, 22 Rochester Road. I'm all for this. I kind of wish this was thought about 3 or 4 years ago. Every day I walk my dog in the back of the bogs and I look at these tombstones. They've been sitting there since October. Is this moratorium going to find their way into these companies' ideas of, okay, they have a moratorium, so we can, it's going to give us more time to let them stay there? I want to know if, this moratorium is going to help us or is it going to help them? I want those things out of the ground. They've been sitting there for 10 months.
It's just on the issuance of new permits. It doesn't have anything to do with anything in the past. It's just to try to make things clearer and better for the future.
I hope so.
Me too.
Thank you. On the left, yeah.
Eric Weston, 189 Main Street. Mr. Moderator, if you could guide me in the fact that this article, and I know we're one article at a time, so this is like my point of order thing. There's 2 additional home rule petitions. They all seem very repetitive, and I don't know, through you, the town council, how does this work? Like, if you vote 1, 2, and 3, like, how does this work legally?
Which articles are you speaking about?
I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. There's 2 solar moratoriums in the last home rule petitions.
Oh, okay.
39 and 40,
Yep.
which look relatively similar.
That's a very good question. We were actually just discussing that. Share your opinion. Yeah.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Moderator. So right now, we have in front of us this particular article to impose a moratorium on solar installations. If this article were to not prevail, then we would go to, when it comes up, Article 39, and the subject would be open again. If that article were to fail, we would then go to Article 40, and there would be sort of a third chance to address that issue. If any one of these passes, I would assume that the proponents of the others would make a motion to indefinitely postpone. However, they have a right to make a motion under it. Again, I would assume that that motion would be to disapprove it because it's repetitive. But if by some reason 3 of these happen to pass, it would seem to me that it really would have no effect because they're all the same thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I would just like to also just to make a comment. Respectfully, I thought people made great arguments, and just as procedure, I just like to express to consider that typically I've been in a lot of town meetings where we have done the solar bylaw and amendments to the solar bylaw and changes to the solar bylaw. We have a bylaw. I guess the question would be, why didn't we come with amendments to the solar bylaw? It seems inappropriate, almost, and I don't mean it in a bad way, I don't know how to say it any other way, is just lazy. Like we should be talking about the amendments to the bylaw because we have a bylaw, not a moratorium. We're just shutting it down. I have no problem with the discussion, but why aren't we changing the bylaw?
Does anybody want to answer to that?
Yeah, him.
Yeah,
can
one
answer.
of the reasons for the moratorium is so we can look at the bylaws, look what's weak, and toughen everything up. Look what's happened in the town, like Tremont Street, where these poles have been sitting, so we can stop stuff like that. That's what the moratorium is, so we can go back, look at our laws, look what's going on, instead of putting bits together, putting the whole package together and protecting the town as a whole instead of one article at a time. That's why we're presenting these moratoriums.
Understood. I just disagree. I think the more appropriate way is to present the changes to the bylaw. We had a year. We presented changes last year. The body that sat here last year chose not to choose them, as is their right. And I would prefer to be sitting here choosing whether I want to select amendments or not. I think it's inappropriate to shut down a bylaw, do a moratorium. No one would appreciate it if we were doing a moratorium on housing or anything. So.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Moderator?
Mr. Belbin.
I think one of the reasons for the moratorium is, like she said, is just to put a freeze on it. I don't know if anybody here knows, but a number of plans came through the planning department, the building department, before town meeting, because they wanted to lock in the bylaws at that time on their properties. So some people have already put it in. So now they're locked in to those bylaws. This is a moratorium now, so from now on, for this 1-year time period, stop, take a deep breath, let's make sure the changes that we make are right. So I think this is a good thing.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Belbin. Seeing no hands and no further motion to the mics, we'll go ahead and put this to a vote. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Holmes.
I just wanted to get clarification on what this applies to. Before Bob spoke, I was going to ask the question of the town planner or the chair of the planning board as to how many projects are currently in front of the planning board that have been proposed, that they're currently looking at, that are in the review, or in the process of being reviewed and approved. Just to get a general sense of how many projects this impacts currently. But to that point, based on Jen's comments earlier on, this wouldn't affect projects that are already approved, but Bob just suggested that it also wouldn't affect projects that have been submitted. And I'd like to get clarification on whether this affects projects that have already been submitted or not, or just projects that, just projects that are not yet approved.
Sure, Mr. Mackey.
Yes, Bruce Mackey, 9 Thatcher Street. As far as I know, there aren't any more projects in front of us, not solar projects. Any projects that have been approved, which we have 19 of in the town right now, it doesn't go for them. So it's only for new projects. And so the new projects will wait for a year until it's gone through.
So what Bob just said then is not accurate? Somebody didn't submit 5 proposed solar arrays in the last 2 weeks?
I was at the office today, in the planning board office, and there was some small subdivision plans there, but it wasn't for solar. I didn't see anything for solar. So, and if there was anything for solar, it wouldn't, the moratorium would.
Right, but I'm trying to get a sense of like how many, if there are 10 people that have submitted applications in the last 3 months and it just hasn't been approved yet, and now they're going to find out tomorrow that they can't move forward with their projects, that impacts my decision on how I vote.
We haven't had anything come before the board. I think last site walk was during the summer, and that's it. We haven't had anything new come to us for quite a few months now.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Shea.
If it's all right to clarify, if the moratorium passes, the projects are frozen from the first date the warrant was published. So anything that came in after the date of the publishing of the warrant will fall under the moratorium.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, with respect to grandfathering, there are several different triggers that determine whether or not a project is grandfathered. So if a project has a building permit or a special permit prior to the date of first publication of the notice of public hearing for the bylaw change, then those projects may be grandfathered. Likewise, a project that has submitted a plan under the approval not required provisions may gain grandfathering status as of the date of submission of the plan. And finally, for projects that have preliminary subdivision plans followed by definitive subdivision plans, those properties also gain grandfathering protection. So as I spoke about the other night with respect to battery storage, grandfathering is very complicated and fact-specific. And so, we don't want to sit here today and say, this project is definitely grandfathered and that project is not. I know that the town planner has put together a list of projects that are already permitted. And in my opinion, those projects would be grandfathered, but the exact trigger for some other projects that might be in process has different points based on where they are in that process.
Thank you, Mr. Corbo. All right, seeing no further motion of the mics and no hands raised, we'll go ahead and put Article 26 moratorium on mounted solar photovoltaic installations to vote. This requires a 2/3 vote. Recommendation by the Select Board is 3-2. Planning Board is 5-0. And with that, we will open the vote. Ten seconds. Close the vote. Okay, Article 26 passes with a 2/3 majority, 114 yes and 34 no. Moving on to Article 27, land transfers. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town approve Article 27 as set forth in the warrant.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. We go ahead and open this for debate. I know a lot of people are here for that article, and we hope that you'll stay so that we can kind of get through the rest of this business, but I understand. Okay, so Article 27 is now open for debate. Mr. Belbin.
Yeah, when I was on the redevelopment authority, I actually went through all the properties the town had. I found these two properties that I thought would be very good. It's in a nice family-located neighborhood at Crystal Lake, and I figured they'd be great for affordable housing in some way, shape, or form. So that's my opinion for this, as a select board member, that once the select board get it, that they move it on to some other organization to create some affordable housing.
Thank you, Mr. Belbin. All right, seeing no hands raised, no further motion to the mics, we will go ahead and
Point of order.
Mr. Germain.
I'm not sure that we have a quorum still. Seeing people walk out, the last vote was down by 2 votes. This is a 2/3 vote required. We need 150 voters.
Yeah, again, what shows on the screen is the number of people that voted, not necessarily the number of people in the room, but we can.
Okay. But you're telling me that there are people that are not voting at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Moderator, through you, I don't think that a challenge to the quorum would be in order while we have a vote pending.
Yeah, so we'll continue the vote, and then we will dispense with the challenge. How's that sound?
I just have a quick question. Is this land the Crystal Lake Community Garden? There's an empty
Moderator.
parcel of land in Crystal Lake that the community has taken on, and has a community garden space that they've been utilizing for at least, I say, the last like 10 or 15 years. Is this the address of that?
No, it's not. Roberts Way is around the corner from there. It used to be the activity building for Crystal Lake. It had burned down, dilapidated. The town finally went ahead and tore it all down.
Okay, I think you've answered the question. So. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this to a vote, and we'll open the vote now. Ten seconds. And we'll close the vote. Okay, Article 27 land transfers passes with a 2/3 majority of 112 yes and 22 no.
Mr. Moderator, now can I challenge the count?
Sure.
The two-thirds vote required and 150. Telling me 16 people did not vote? I just want to make sure
That's
this
fine.
doesn't
We
get
can
challenged
yes,
later.
It's fine. We can count. No, I mean, it's not going to. Yeah, it's not going to be challenged later because it's based on the number of people voted, not the number of people that are in the room. So, okay, we can go ahead and do a count.
Well, you know,
They understand.
I don't know how we do a count.
All right, quiet down, please.
We all answer the Red Sox question?
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and answer the Red Sox question again. We ask everyone in the room, please vote, okay?
Makes it easy.
So we can identify how many people are in the room, okay? We're going to open the vote now, and we'll give you 30 seconds. Uh, 10 seconds, sorry. And we'll close the vote.
Oh, 141.
Okay, with 141 votes, we do no longer have a quorum. Unfortunately, we need 150 people because there was an item of bond and indebtedness on the warrant. We've already passed that item and voted on it, but the bylaw applies to the entire meeting. It does not apply just to that portion of the meeting.
Right, exactly.
Matt Kennison, 9 Center Street. Are we including the clickers of people who went to the bathroom? Because they wouldn't be on this electronic vote, but their clickers would still be held.
So, I'm sorry, you're saying people...
For example, my father's in the bathroom. He's
Oh.
not in there, which would be
Oh.
how many other people are out there.
I don't know how many people are in the restroom, I'm sorry.
But we have a bucket of clickers specifically just for the bathroom not being recollected. That's my question. You know if we have a quorum accurately or not? For example, here's one coming back.
I'm going. Oh, they sit here.
But good luck getting out. Luck getting 100.
I think they did.
Not gonna cross arm. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just.
The moderator?
Yeah, I get it.
Well, they're
Close to being done.
full in 28.
So close to being done.
Yeah,
Mr. Moderator.
Quiet down, please, thank you.
Point of order.
So we're going to go ahead and count how many are in that box.
Actually have
If you're planning on leaving because you think we don't have a quorum, please stick around because we may be able to solve this here. So,
Mr. Moderator.
Yep.
Can we do, point of order, can we do a hand count?
doing two.
Just because the electronics
We're losing.
here,
Don't give a shit.
can we do a hand count?
we could do a hand count. It's going to take a while. The electronics are accurate. The problem is how many people are in the restroom. So that problem is going to plague us whether we do a hand count or whether we do an electronic count. So.
Silly.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Totally silly. Supposed to be done for Christ's sake.
So I'm going to go up and I'll check the men's room. I'll have Gene check the ladies' room.
Right? Everybody phone a friend?
Take us like another hour to get.
I'd have it.
Wait, I mean, versus
One more hour.
Moratorium on solar.
back here again?
Write it down, sorry.
Okay, everybody. We're going to give people 5 minutes to return from the restroom.
Well,
And at that point, we're counting again. And if the count does not add up to 150 at that point, then we're going to call it, okay? So we're going to give 5 minutes for folks to return to the restroom. We've asked kindly that folks not leave during this time. I'm sorry, but if you have a point of order or a motion or something like that.
Don't want to come back next. Articles. Null and void. Null and void because the other one passed. The last two, yeah, the last two won't count.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pride is collecting the voting clicker.
And so no one should be pressing clickers other than their own.
Don't press any more
Mr.
clickers, G.
Mr. Moderator, that's my, point of order. That's my issue that I just heard, that the only ones that are pushing buttons are the people that are actually voting.
Right. Yep, that should be the case. So to reiterate, only push buttons on your own clicker. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but so that brings up the question though, is that when someone's leaving, they could give someone else their clicker. So what are we doing to make sure?
That's why we're asking them to hold them, but they should be holding them and not touching.
No, but I'm saying when someone leaves, how are we making sure that if someone leaves and they're just like, oh, I don't have a clicker, like I wasn't given one.
Somewhere
Handing in a
else.
clicker? What? Yeah, we got 45 seconds. You want to get the items queued up? This way? Okay. We went to the bathroom to make sure that nobody was touching the clickers. All right, we'll go ahead and take the count. All right, so we will go ahead and open the vote. Vote any way you want, just make sure you vote. 30 seconds. Guys, everybody quiet down, please. Glad somebody has a sense of humor. 10 seconds. And close the vote. Okay, so we officially do not have a quorum anymore, so we will no longer be able to continue business. Just hold tight 1 second, though, because we do need to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Continue town meeting on Tuesday, April 19th at 6 p.m.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. It is debatable, so we'll open it for debate.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Belvin.
we need 150 people for the next one. If we don't get 150 at the next meeting, do we continue this on until we get 150 people in? Or is at some point that we say, we're not getting it, and
We can vote to dissolve the meeting as well.
It's still the same warrant.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, the bonded indebtedness happened on Tuesday night. So unfortunately, the bylaw applies it to the entire town meeting, so town meeting is still in session. It's still the same town meeting. Well, what's that? No, we can't. We have to have a quorum to do any business.
no matter what. No, you can't.
Right now,
We've done it
we
anytime.
can because we have to close out the meeting.
Mr. Moderator, question?
Yes, sir.
So we can't do the majority only required stuff? It has to be 150 people here even for that?
The bylaws are not specific, so
Well, why don't we have a loose interpretation of the bylaw?
Mr. Moderator, through you to explain to everyone the quorum issue, under section 1.1.2 of the town bylaws, it says that 75 qualified voters shall be necessary to constitute a quorum at any town meeting, including special town meetings, provided, however, that 150 qualified voters shall be necessary to constitute a quorum at any town meeting where any bonded indebtedness is to be voted on. In this town meeting, we had an article earlier on, many days ago, in which there was an article to borrow for the library HVAC matter. As far as I know, that article has not been reconsidered. So if we reconvene next week on Tuesday, it's still the same meeting. That question of bonded indebtedness could be reconsidered, and therefore you need to have 150 people in the room to constitute a quorum. If a quorum does not show up here, no business can be conducted other than to make a motion to adjourn to another date. If no such motion is made, then the meeting just dies and the rest of the articles do not get acted on.
Just a point of order. Can the article be reconsidered on another date? Or can it only be reconsidered on the date in which the article was voted on?
There's nothing in the bylaw that limits reconsideration to the same day or any particular time. So an article can be reconsidered any time within the same town meeting.
I have a point of order that we didn't vote to bond, right? It was short-term borrow. Is there a difference?
I'm sorry?
We didn't vote to bond that. It was a short-term.
We voted to go in debt.
Technicality, it wasn't a bonding question.
Yeah, I mean, that is considered, it says an issue bonds and notes therefore.
Okay, I misheard the bond, I want to make sure.
Oh, yeah, this is when.
We know for sure we didn't reconsider that.
Keep it.
Yeah. So we can take a motion to adjourn, or we can take a motion to dissolve. What's it? Oh, we do have a motion to adjourn, okay. So can you restate the motion, Mr. Townsend?
I make a motion to continue town meeting until Tuesday, April 19th at 6 PM.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Do we have any debate?
I just have a question. Kurt Lecce, 7
Oh, okay. Right, so I'm being told that it's not debatable because there's no quorum. So we basically have no other course of action. So let's go ahead and put it to a vote. It's a motion to adjourn. Time Tuesday.
I gotta work. No, I mean,
Roll.
pick an idea.
Before we do that, Mr. Moderator,
It's like pushing.
I understand that, no, but I understand that have to do without a quorum? Or can you set a continuation time without a quorum?
can we just dissolve?
Otherwise, the meeting just goes on.
I mean, no one.
It's over. It's over.
They can move this stuff to the fall town meeting.
All right.
They just move this stuff to the fall?
Yeah, we would have to go to another town meeting.
That would be, yes. No, and then do a motion to dissolve instead.
Are we voting?
Mr. Moderator, point of order.
We
Haven't opened the vote.
another night for 8 articles. None of them are important.
Come for that.
Yeah, we can't dissolve until all their articles have been acted on.
Mr. Moderator?
I would have made the motion.
Motion.
All right, no.
All town meeting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What are we going to do?
Okay. Yeah.
That's what they do.
That when the fall meeting's supposed to be?
No. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Not up to me. I can't tell you.
Honestly.
Yeah, we're just trying to do what's best for everybody in the town. So we're trying to come up with a strategy that would be helpful. Yeah.
I appreciate the explanation.
He's leaving right now. No trees, ain't going.
She's called it already, she's done.
Trying to make it work. Trying to push it off till September.
Yeah, there's nothing going on here.
He was gonna.
Hey, Dave, there's nothing going on here.
Never get a quorum.
You just want to leave all that stuff. There's nothing going on in here this week.
Provided, yes, there are students out of state
You can leave
field.
it.
21st or Thursday?
Yeah, eventually you're gonna have to come take it.
Notified.
This weekend's fine.
Yeah, I thought you were saying the 19th.
Sometimes notify him, sometimes not. We had no clue, which is fine.
School vacation.
I mean, I'm not concerned about, the chaperones not being, employees not being.
We already didn't have a quorum. School was left in the room.
Clean them up later.
It's like so bizarre.
Knock on wood doesn't happen, I'm sure someone tests positive, clearly they're gonna have to notify them.
I cleaned up like they were coming back.
But is it a waste of time to bring everybody in here on the 19th if we know we're not going to get a quorum? Mr. Neef, could you please come over?
I might not be here if it's next week. 18th is okay, but I have training on the 26th would be okay too.
19th and 26th. 19th school vacation week.
It is. It's after, I think we won't get a quorum. I would like to. Hey, Sean. Sean? With the election that I have coming up next week, the 26th. Very happy with that. Thank you. Thank you. 28th.
All right, everybody, quiet down. All right, we're going to wrap this up, I swear. Up. Oh.
And I make another motion to continue town meeting until Thursday, April 28th
What time?
at 6 PM.
6 p.m. Okay. So we have a motion made and seconded to,
Negotiations. That date.
oh,
Matter? Okay.
Committee's not.
Yeah, we can't, we're not available that day. But that's, I mean,
I thought, I was looking at the room.
It's
The room's
fine.
available.
It's perfectly fine with me. I can't speak on behalf of the committee. but
Oh, no,
And there's a lot of Carver residents that are
nothing on there
teachers.
really left. Only two members of the vacation.
Oh, all four.
Because it's not all
Depending
day.
upon when
Are
they
teachers
start.
involved?
Yeah.
So now teachers won't be here.
There's gonna be a lot of potential.
The day before or something like that?
Sorry.
Sorry.
I don't mean to be a
I
pain.
was looking at the room, like the room's.
Yeah. How many have been getting before the annual? Anyway, choose one. Yeah. Those are next Saturday. Okay. Nope. That's good because we have to do We should just dissolve all this.
Oh, okay, listen, there's going to be a problem with I think, pick a date, attempt to have town meeting.
Tuesday the 19th, and hope that you get 150.
Not going to.
I think.
A lot of
I
people
brought
do.
kids with me.
After this, I might want to.
I think the meeting.
I think we need to pick a date, we need to go with it, we need to see what happens. That's what I think we need to
I
pick a
thought
date.
we were
go
having a
with it.
select board meeting on, or not? Next week.
You know what I'm talking about.
Not make this up. Also, a council on a director's meeting.
That you can, otherwise.
The day is like jam packed.
No, they.
You practice? Wanna go back there and practice?
And actually, this room is.
Actually, no, there's a school event. There's a school event. There's nothing to vote. It just ends. Said that.
What do you mean, pull the motion?
Nobody made a motion to continue. Like anything.
And we have no budget.
They would have had
There's no outcome to tell you.
That's not bad. We get a quorum, the kids could dance.
We can't even vote to reconsider money article because we need a quorum.
Parents here, right?
All right, let's do the 19th.
Like me to withdraw the other motion? Did anyone second that motion?
Just withdraw it
We just
again.
really have to announce what the.
Yeah. All right, everybody. All right. We're back to the 19th. So at this point, the motion is to continue town meeting on April 19th at 6 p.m. So all those in favor? Well, I guess we're doing the electronic thing, right? No? Okay, we just do all those in favor? Aye! All those opposed? All right, great. Thanks, everybody.
The ayes have it.
The ayes have it. We'll see you next Tuesday. Please tell all your friends to come out. We need 150 people to finish this up. And it'll only take about an hour, I promise. An hour.